Hi, I'm Madam Selzer, author of a new book called Just Kill Me. It's all about a ghost tour guide who makes places more haunted by killing people at them. It's full of real historical mysteries, and this is Behind the Book. In some of my earliest notes for the book, I wanted to open with a scene of ghost tour guides waiting to break into the tomb of Ira Couch, a Chicago landmark that's been tantalizing people for over 100 years. Nobody really knows what's in there anymore. This drives me crazy. Now, it is a historical site. It's the oldest building still standing in the North Chicago fire zone. In 1871, when people were fleeing from the Great Chicago Fire, a lot of them ended up in what is now Lincoln Park. This is a drawing of how it looked at the time. You'll notice a lot of gravestones. Up until a few years before, Lincoln Park had been the city cemetery. They hadn't finished moving everybody. And they never did. It's anyone's guess how many bodies never got moved, but it's generally agreed to be quite a lot. And they never moved the tomb of Ira Couch and his family from the South End. It's still there. Now, there are a couple of mysteries about the place. One is we don't know quite why they didn't move it. It was probably money. The other is that we don't know who all is in there. It was built to hold about 13 people, and evidence is fairly strong that it's still about half full. About 100 years ago, the city of Chicago said that it was empty and the bodies had all been moved about 1880, but at the same time, Ira's grandson said that there were still about 8 bodies in there and none of them had ever been moved. Ira's name is on the headstone at the new family plot at Rose Hill, but for a tombstone to have names of bodies that aren't really there is way more common than you'd think. And I've seen the lot record. There's nothing about Ira or anybody else being moved there. So in the process of trying to find more proof, I've not only gone through the newspaper archives, I've gone up to the archives in the Daily Center where you dig up old legal paperwork, including lawsuit records and things like Ira's wife's probate file. Now that had things like her will, receipts from the undertaker, a transcript of her grandson's proof of heirship testimony, and that testimony had some interesting data about stillborns who might very well have been interred in the tomb, but no proof one way or the other as to whether they were still there. So this is still a riddle. The only way to tell would be to open the door and have a look. Now, I've demonstrated to thousands of tourists that that door is not going anywhere, but I do have a trick. Watch. Now, if you think I've never had a drunk on the tour hop the fence and try to open the door, you would be wrong. If you think I've never hopped the fence and tried to open the door, you'd really be wrong. In fact, I'm doing pretty well on time tonight. You guys want to see?
Yes.
All right, camera's down a second. In case tonight's the night with these spikes. Believe me, it's not going anywhere. In fact, it's not really even a door, it's just a slab with a metal handle on it. There's no hinges, no latches, no keyhole, no locking mechanism. However, about a year ago, I realized that there's a crack under the door about the size of your pinky finger. So using some really high-tech equipment called the Tomb Snooper 500, which is an iPhone taped to a wire hanger, I was able to get some shots of what's behind the door. You guys want to see? Here's what it shows. Open the thing. So it turns out that what's behind the door is another door. I feel like I've gotten past level 1, but not level 2. Now, when one of Ira's great-great-great-grandchildren, Rachel, saw that picture on my blog, she thought it was really cool and invited me to come record a podcast while we dug through her scrapbook, which had all kinds of cool stuff, including the wine list from the Tremont House, the hotel Ira owned, and which his brother kept going after his death. It stood right where the Alley of Death and Mutilation, another tour stop, is now. And it was a great time digging through the scrapbook, but we didn't find anything to tell us who was in the tomb. Rachel didn't know either, and she thought maybe if we found out it would just take all the fun out of it. And maybe she's right, but I'm still dying to know. Now, it didn't end up being the opener, but I did write a tomb snooping scene into Just Kill Me, which is out August 2016 from Simon & Schuster.